It's 7 o'clock now. Mr. Ferrari, you can take us out of the practice session. For all board members, we're going to begin the meeting very shortly. Just a reminder, microphones are turned off to help with the acoustics of the room and picking up the sound of the video. Please bring them closer when you are about ready to speak. Mr. Ferrari, again, just give me a thumbs up. Okay, we have one. Mr. Gallo, we are ready to begin whenever you are.
Welcome, everyone. Please note, this meeting of the Mahwah Board of Education is open to members of the public to be physically present. Members of the public that attend will be asked to follow the same procedures as all other visitors to our schools. Those procedures can be found on the agenda page of our website. Additionally, the board meeting will be live streamed for viewing purposes only. Anyone wishing to view the meeting may do so via Zoom. At Zoom, the webinar ID for this meeting is 886-8256-8309, and the required password is 975459. We'll have a call to order and roll call.
Ms. Navanero.
Here.
Mr. De Silva. Mr. Denise.
Here.
Mr. Hughes.
Here.
Mr. Kaczmarski. Dr. Park.
Here.
Ms. Saccone.
Here.
Dr. Morthy. And Mr. Gallo.
Here. Adequate notice?
I apologize. And Student Representative Max Ingerman.
Oh,
Here.
welcome,
Thank you.
Max. Adequate notice of agenda of this meeting has been provided to the Ridgewood News and the Record, specifying that the Mahwah Board of Education will meet on December 6, 2023 in the administrative offices at 60 Ridge Road, Mahwah, New Jersey. A copy has been filed with the Township Clerk. And Ms. Davanero, can you lead us in the salute to the flag?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will have an exec session after our primary meeting, so we will skip to the next section. We will now move to public action, and our first item is agenda questions. Can we have a motion to move to agenda questions? Chris and Linda. I invite anybody who has questions related to items on the agenda, please come forward. See no one, we will close to the public. And we'll need a motion. John and Matt. We go to the superintendent's report, Dr. DeToro.
Thank you, Mr. Gallo. My report will be brief. I wanted to congratulate Mr. Roger Pelletier. Allow me to share the accolades that he received. The Directors of Athletics Association of New Jersey selected Mr. Roger Pelletier, the Mahwah High School Athletic Director, as the DAANJ Sectional Award of Merit recipient representing North Section 1 for the following: outstanding achievement, dedication to the students, and professionalism throughout his career. He'll be receiving this award in Atlantic City later on in the spring. I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Pelletier for all he does for our athletes here in Mahwah. I also want to say happy Hanukkah to all who celebrate. It'll be taking place starting tomorrow evening. And last but not least, I just wanted to welcome Mr. Gallo as our acting president. I don't know if you know this or not, but this is not the normal gavel. This is a special, may I touch it? This is a special gavel. Allow me to share with you what it says on his gavel. This says North Jersey Debate League, second place speaker, Mahwah High School, February 7th, 1979. So this is a very special artifact that we have brought, and I just feel honored sitting next to it. So thank you so much for doing that and your service.
It will be relocated to the Mahwah Museum after this meeting.
Perfect. The rest of my report I'll be doing with Dr. Fair during his report, celebrating the wonderful things that are happening in Mahwah schools.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to Mr. Pelletier. Kyle?
Thank you. A few items for report this evening. First, just procedurally to share with members of the public that our next Board of Education meeting, held on December 20th, will be held at Lenape Meadows Elementary School in the multipurpose room. Same time, 7 p.m., but we are relocating over to Lenape Meadows because of the agenda we have for that evening. Our Transportation Committee met recently, and a survey has been released to members of the public. We encourage everybody to please take a few moments and fill out that survey. We have that survey open until January 10th. Ms. Davenero, I think, will speak a little bit more about it during her report. For elections, since our last meeting, the county office has released the official election results from the November 2023 election for school boards. For here in Mahwah, the final official results in the order that the candidates were on the ballot are Danielle Ryan, 2,350 votes, Janine Ting Jansen, 2,650 votes, Mr. Richard De Silva Jr., 2,859, Mr. Jeffrey Lichtenheim, 1,039, Michelle Salzman, 2,110, Brett Copland, 2,885, and personal choice or write-in votes, there were 20. Based on these results, the candidates, Mr. Copland, Mr. De Silva, and Ms. Jansen will be sworn in at the reorganization meeting on Wednesday, January 3rd. And that will be here in this building, the January 3rd reorganization meeting. For Finance, I just want to thank members of the Finance Facility Committee who attended a meeting last week where our financials from the 22-23 school year were reviewed with them by Ms. Heidi Wallab, who is the partner in charge of the district's audit for the firm Nisavacia LLC. They are district's independent auditors. Ms. Wallab shared that the district continues to be fiscally strong and healthy. Her staff are completing the last final sections of the report, and we expect the full report to be available for the board, and we'll have a corresponding resolution for that report when it's available within the next meeting or two. And that's my report for tonight.
Thank you, Kyle. Dr. Fair?
All right, good evening, everyone. I have a few items to share before Dr. Toro and I do some celebrating of some of the programs going on across the district. The first piece, as referenced by Mr. Bleeker, we will be highlighting a staff member from each of our 6 buildings on the meeting on December 20th, which is why we will need a larger venue over at Lenape Meadows. The second piece, agenda item 18A, we have a retirement to announce. Irene Goydich, she is the administrative assistant over at Joyce Kilmer School. Mrs. Goydich's contribution to JK and Mahwah Township Public Schools is one that's hard to capture in a single statement. As shared by her colleagues, Irene, or Sarge, as she is lovingly known by our staff, is the great resource of JK. Her wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is often sought after by our JK staff. If you need a schedule, you talk to Irene. If you want to know how that ceremony was done in the past, you would ask Irene. And as Joyce Kilmer's Queen Grammarian, nearly every letter, message, or email that is sent out is reviewed and approved by her. Joyce Kilmer School will miss her voice at the end of the day for afternoon announcements, but most importantly, they will miss Irene's presence and the friendship she has given so many in her time at Joyce Kilmer School. We congratulate her on completing this stage in her life and thank her for all the memories she created with her JK family. We wish Irene well as she enjoys spending more family time with John, her husband, along with her children and her beautiful grandchildren. From her JK family, they wanted me to say Do Pobachenya, which means goodbye in Ukrainian, which was nice, right? All right, so Dr. Arturo wanted to highlight some great things. Going on across the district, if you're able to check out our social media platforms, there are pictures posted all the time, but we at least wanted to take some time to highlight and celebrate some of the great things.
So the first picture we have is Betsy Ross in their wonderful cafetorium there. The students were recognized for acts of kindness and overall empathy for others, receiving kindness certificates during their Mindful Monday meetings.
Look at their faces. Our second highlight from George Washington School, This December, students at GW are collaborating across the whole school to design and create a glass tile mosaic that will live in the school for many years to come. This team-created art project will highlight the word believe, so students always remember to believe in themselves so they can reach their full potential. Believe also happens to be this year's theme over at George Washington School.
This year, the Lenape Meadows staff have been looking to catch their amazing students soaring. Students who demonstrate being safe, on task, achievement, and respect are awarded with a soaring bracelet, which they wear with pride.
Over at Joyce Kilmer School a few weeks ago during American Education Week, it was well attended with approximately 200 parents this past November. Here's a picture of an Innovation Lab Parent Challenge activity.
We have so much to be proud of, our athletics and our performing arts. This is for performing arts. This is at Roundabout Ridge. We had 3 students from our chorus who were accepted into the 2023 Bergen County Middle School Choir: Ashini Desai, Alina Gagnolini, and Charlotte Huffman. The Bergen County Middle School Choir is an audition group consisting of 7th grade and 8th grade students from all over Bergen County. We also had 3 students who qualified for Bergen County Middle School Honors Band. Sophie Wang, oboe, 2nd chair, ranked 2nd overall for 7th grade. Andre Lennox, alto saxophone, 2nd chair, ranked 3rd overall, 7th grade. And Teja Sastry, trumpet, 1st chair, ranked 3rd overall for 8th grade. We are proud of our music students and their teachers. The Ridge is looking forward to their winter concert on December 14th, which will feature all of our performing arts groups.
And if you've been able to check out any of the Mahwah High School social media postings, whether it's through Instagram or Twitter/X, there's a lot happening. So the first piece, I've been talking about the growth of the homework club over at the high school, I want to say the last few years, just because it truly represents, and that's the picture on the left, it truly represents Mahwah Connects and what we've been talking about for years in terms of connecting our older students in more of a mentorship with our younger students. So it's grown to have over 40 students that participate. In this club, our high school students showcase their kindness and enthusiasm towards helping our younger students. They've created a safe and fun learning environment for our younger students to thrive, and we're also proud of our younger students for having the courage to seek help from our high school students. The relationships being built really exemplify what hashtag Mahwah Connects is all about. I don't have the picture here, but there are also high school students that attended the fall play with our younger students. So you can see that mentorship living outside of the club, which is really cool. The second piece, you can see Mr. Pascal. He looks confused there. I promise he knows why he's there. What a wonderful gesture, but he helped the senior class in working at SQ Pizza this past Friday, prior to the high school talent show, as a fundraiser for our senior class. And in doing so, they raised over $2,000. So thank you for everyone for participating. Thank you for Mr. Pascal, and thank you for all the students who showed up. Sure, of course.
I don't know if it comes out or not. He's very proud of his apron. On his apron, if you look very closely, it says Principal Chef. That was a custom gift given to him by his wife that he wears with pride. So he looked and he did the part very well.
Nice. And on the right, we have 2 members of the Mahwah High School community that were highlighted this month. Dylan DeLeon, student, and Mr. David Jankowski, one of our English and digital media teachers over at the high school. So this year, the Top Soaring Thunderbird program has been initiated by both the Mahwah High School administration as well as the Student Government Association to highlight positive members of our school community. So the T-Bird's pillars are T, trusted, B, brave, I, inspiring, R, resilient, D, determined, and S, spirited. Dylan DeLeon is a student who has been honored because of the T and the D, trusted and determined. Dylan is a trusted and determined student who participates daily in class and is always there lending a helping hand to his peers. Dylan was nominated by both his teachers and his peers. As one teacher stated, quote, Dylan accepts challenges and is not afraid to take a risk in answering a challenging math question in geometry class. Dylan is a team player with his peers. He is friendly, respectful, encouraging, and inspiring. Dylan is highly motivated and is dedicated to academic success. Dylan is in 10th grade, a member of our string orchestra, and a member of the Engineering and Technology Career Pathway. Lastly, Mr. David Jankowski has been highlighted because of how spirited he is. He was nominated by both his colleagues as well as his students. All who nominated Mr. Jankowski recognized the positive energy he brings to the building. One of his colleagues wrote, quote, he has a strong dedication to his students and gets them excited in the classroom as well as in the club sports talk. He is at games, cheering students on, as well as getting a live stream up and running. One student also shared, students feel his enthusiasm daily and know that he is there as a helping hand. You feel the care he has for the students. Also, Mr. J's lessons are engaging and fun. So a lot of great things happening. We'll make sure to continue to highlight all that's going on in the district. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bear. Board President's report, we're going to have two pieces to this. Our first part will be a review of the board self-evaluation report that will be presented by Mr. Matt Lee from New Jersey School Boards. Matt is our field service rep for Bergen County, and we welcome him to our meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Acting President. Here we go. Before I begin, though, I did introduce to some of you before the meeting. I wanted to allow my colleague to introduce herself. I'm working tonight with one of my new colleagues in the Field Services Department, and I'll just have Kelly come up and say hello.
Hi, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to observe you today. My name is Kelly Mitchell. I'm the new field service rep for Sussex and Passaic counties. So super excited to see how this is going to go, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Welcome to Mahwah.
Thank you so much.
So all of you have in front of you a copy of the report of the board self-evaluation. For those who are familiar, you'll recall that this is a service that NJSBA offers to all boards, and it's a tool for boards to use to practice the continuous improvement that we expect out of our school districts as well. It is not required for boards to do this, but it's certainly a best practice. And looking at the tool as a way to help develop those board goals that are in the spirit of helping you guys improve as a governance team, this is a great tool for working toward those objectives. One note I will have when I start to talk about the inside of the report is that if you look at the indicators on each of the sections that we will review as we go through the report, those indicators are really a job description for board members. So as you're going through there and looking at the various aspects that we're going to walk through, understand that those indicators there on the side of the charts are actually what boards are responsible for completing as board members. So a couple notes before we dive into the report, just to kind of refresh you on its format. The first page, which is sort of a mouthful, the quantification of relative value, is just basically looking at the 9 different aspects we'll examine and having the board sort of give a rating to how important that is on the overall governance function. So basically we're setting a standard there. And as we go through each of these, we're going to end up comparing how we scored in those particular sections against the standard that we've assigned from page 1. The scale is a 4.0, and happy to report that the Mahwah board came through with an average of 3.6 on here. And there's also, in terms of the structure of the report, a top and a bottom rating in each of those areas. The top is where the board rates itself as a governing body, and the bottom is how individuals, each board member rates themselves as a contributor in that area. And then, if you'll recall from filling this out, there are 2 final questions. The first is about what the board thinks are the priorities for the coming year on a district level. And the last is about areas of additional focus for the board, or additional training for the board, in order to become a better governance team. So now we're going to start to walk through each of these areas, and each of them has room for comments. So in addition to the evaluation score, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to read through the comments as well. So starting with aspect or characteristic 1, that is the planning function of the board. Looking on page 2, we see the score there at a 3.4. And then I'll give you a few moments to look at the comments, and when I see most eyes up, I'll know it's time to move on. Okay, any questions or comments on the planning part? Great, moving on to page 4. This section revolves around policy. A score there of 3.6. And then comments at the bottom of 4 and top of page 5. Questions or comments on the policy section? All right, on page 6, moving on to section 3, student achievement. Score there of 3.5. Comments at the bottom of 6, top of page 7. Questions or comments on student achievement? Okay. Moving on to section 4, page 8. This is the finance piece. Score there of 3.7. Comments on pages 8 and 9. Questions or comments on finance? All right, moving on to section 5, board operations. Score there of 3.6. Comments on page 11. Questions or comments on board operations? Okay. Moving on to page 12, section 6, board performance. Score there of 3.7. Comments on 12 and 13. Questions or comments on board performance? Okay. Moving on to section 7, page 14, board superintendent relationships. Score there of 3.7. Comments on page 15. Questions or comments on board superintendent? Okay, moving on to page 16, board staff relationships. Questions or comments on board staff? Section 9, board and community. Score there of 3.5. Questions or comments on board and community? Okay. As I mentioned at the beginning, the next two questions that were asked on this evaluation are for the board to identify the three major challenges that are currently facing the district. And having gone through them and kind of throwing them into buckets, they revolve around kind of 5 major buckets. So we have our academic/curriculum instruction, we have student conduct, staffing, finance, and political environment. Okay. The other question that we ask for sort of verbatim answers on revolves around training and additional focus for the board. Now, board members individually know that mandatory training is part of their obligations under statute and code. As new board members come on board, they take training in the first 3 years of their service, and then any additional terms that they serve, they must take training in the first year of that. This particular question really revolves around whole board training though, and what are the things that we can do as a governance team to work better together. So those kinds of, the answers, once again, we looked at and kind of classified, and they revolve in 3 different areas basically. So we have board operations, we have training, and we also have legislation. So I'll give you a second to read through those as well. So the last 3 pages in the compilation are simply graphical representations of the scores. So if you look at chart 1 really plots the top score in each of the sections against the front page, which was where we kind of talked about, relatively speaking, how important each of those areas were. And what we're looking for when we look at these charts is that are there any significant gaps between the 2 bars that are presented there? And there really aren't here. As we move to chart 2, we're looking at the top score versus the bottom score on each of the sections. So that's comparing the board score to the individual score. And again, no real significant gaps here. The only thing that I see that sort of approaches that is the finance piece, which is really quite common. There are a number of people who serve on boards that just aren't really that comfortable with the finance part. So nothing unusual there at all. And then finally, the last chart, chart number 3, is where we compare the scores for last year's evaluation versus this year's evaluation. And as you can see, it's really quite consistent all the way through. So I think this is an outstanding board self-evaluation. I think the board used this tool in the way it's properly meant to be used. And you know, if there are things that the board, in its further discussions about this, wants to get training on or discuss, NJSBA is happy to come in and work with you to have those discussions.
Thank you very much, Matt, and
You're welcome.
we'll certainly take you up on your offer for prospective training once we have some time to digest
Sure.
everyone's comments in the document.
Yep.
Thank you for your service to our district, and Kelly, thank you for coming out to visit us. Hope everything goes well on your assignment out in Sussex and Passaic County.
Thank you so
Thank you for
much.
coming out tonight.
Thanks, Mike. Happy holidays to you all, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, the second half. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, because I have some words tonight, and as I'm known to do. In one of the slides that Dennis and Mike shared about Betsy Ross, every week the K-3 level, the principals send out emails to their school communities highlighting things that are happening in the school. And in the case of Betsy Ross, there was one 2 weeks ago or so where Mrs. Davis recognized particular students. And I just want to read, so there's the picture where you saw the students, this one here, but I'm going to read some of the actual detail.
Great.
So, Miss Bregman has recognized Kaden Body, 2nd grader in her class, who is always helpful when someone needs it. She does things without being asked every day. Miss Bregman has recognized Michael Castiglia, 2nd grader in her class, who is very helpful to his friends. When he sees someone who is struggling, he goes over and helps them pick things up. He's also very helpful to me when I need something. I can always count on him. Miss Bregman, she had a lot of candidates, has another student, Nicholas White, 2nd grader in her class, who pushes in every chair at the end of the day without asking. He makes the room look nice and neat before he goes home each day. I am so grateful. Ms. Durant has recognized Kenzie McGriff, second grader in her class, who always greets Ms. Durant and is sure to say goodbye to her every day. She is always doing the right thing while waiting for the bus. She sits quietly, always paying attention to the quiet signal both during morning meeting and at bus dismissal. She shows great social awareness and understands the importance of routines and expectations. And finally, Miss Nacito has recognized Natalie O'Donoghue in her class, who is one of the best listeners in the class. You can tell she is listening because she is looking at you and even nodding to you, showing that she is with you. Her positive and kind attitude makes her a great friend, and all her teachers love teaching her. So this granular detail sometimes can get lost in the shuffle of a district with 2,800 students. But sometimes these little gems come across our email, and I thought this was one of them, and you guys, we didn't coordinate.
No, we did it.
And I just wanted to recognize in detail some of these students whose names wouldn't normally rise to a board meeting, but I think, you know, there are two things that this, I think, signify. The theme at Betsy Ross this year is empathy, and each of these students demonstrated some particular aspect of empathy. So what we're doing, what the team over at Betsy Ross is doing, parents, teachers, administrators, is having some impact on these kids, and we look forward to having them progress through our schools and eventually graduating through our high school. And we look forward to their future achievements as well. Congratulations to these students. Band concerts. Sometimes we forget when they are. But I reached out to Maureen and to Jeff Bittner, and I have the band concert schedule. The JK Band Strings and Chorus Concert will be Tuesday, December 12th at 7 p.m. at the high school. Please attend. The Ramapo Ridge Middle School Band Strings and Chorus, Thursday, December 14th, 7 p.m. at the Ramapo Ridge Gym. And finally, the high school band Strings and Chorus, Tuesday, December 19th at 7 p.m. at the high school. My children were heavily involved in the performing arts program, so we want to give a shout out to them. A couple other things. Our Marching Thunderbirds participated at the Ramsey Holiday Parade this past Saturday, and as usual, their performance was excellent, but I think one of the highlights for me, where if you were to look at the pictures, the kids took a tremendous amount of creativity in their costumes and how they accessorized their instruments and themselves for the holidays. It's really quite remarkable, and there's not an unhappy face in any one of those pictures. They are having a blast. And I'm sure the Ramsey community appreciated that the Mahwah band was able to provide them some excellent service. We also had some Mahwah High School chorus students recently perform at the Atlantic City and New Jersey PAC All-State Chorus Concert. This is a culminating event for these students. First of all, there's a whole series of auditions, and once you get selected, you are in an intensive rehearsal program for days and often on weekends. So getting invited to participate in this process is, first of all, an honor, and then there's a lot of work to be done to actually do the performance. And every year we have some kids or some of our students participate in this program, and it's really another hallmark of our performing arts program. In the last day or two, and I think Mike may have mentioned that we had 6 Mahwah High School students accepted into the Bergen County Band. Congratulations to them. We also had Mahwah High School string students perform at the Rowan University High School Honors Orchestra. Congratulations to them. Mr. Pascal, as we saw, he was working at Square, and he was like an air traffic controller at O'Hare Airport during a blizzard. He had all the order tickets there. He was managing everything. When my wife and I arrived to order our pizza, he made sure that we were at the right spot in the line. He is always working for our students. I mean, the fact that they raised $2,000 is kudos to them. But he always accepts the challenge to help students in any way he can. Big shout out to our woodworking people. Our woodworking team, who's putting together a float for the upcoming Mahwah holiday parade and tree lighting. This will be a return of holiday floats. It's been absent in our town for some time. The fact that our woodworking team was able to participate is another sign of our Mahwah Connects, how our students and our community work together to make Mahwah the wonderful place that it is. And a final word of thanks to our Lido Club members. They have, for the last year or two now, been helping out with the Access for All folks. And one of the largest events that Access for All sponsors is their Ugly Sweater Holiday Party. And as there are, I don't know how many, it must have had 100 people there, plus parents and guardians. And our Leo Club members were were helpful in making the event successful. Again, that's one of those things, the Access for All folks post hundreds of pictures. And it's a great event for those members of our community. And our Leo Club is, their assistance is very much appreciated by the Access for All people. So now, I'm done. Glad you were able to stay that long. Yes. Welcome, Max. Are you ready to provide a report?
Ready.
Max is a product of the Betsy Ross school as well, so that's why we give a little extra highlight to Betsy Ross today. And Joyce Gilmer.
So the SGA and National Honors Society are working together with families to provide gifts for the holidays to people in need. We already have all the gifts, and now we are Mrs. Freed and Miss Brown are handing them out on Friday to the family in need. FCA is doing a coat drive again. We did this. Me and Coach Diaz did this last winter, and we raised 75 coats. And we had a company come pick it up, and they were able to give it out to different homeless shelters and people in need. The drama club had their fall play and went very well. It was around 3 weeks ago. Last Friday, the senior class organized and ran the annual talent show. There was lots of great talent here at the high school, and we also, so SQ we raised around 2,000, and the talent show we raised about 2,500.
Wow.
So it was a great day. And Mr. Gallo, you said 2 of these already, but the Working Club, advised by Mr. Coe and Mr. Kazum, built a float for the holiday parade, and our marching Thunderbirds was in the Ramsey parade. And Dr. Fair, you said this one about the Mahwah High School sword Thunderbirds.
We stole all your material.
We'll coordinate better next time.
But we definitely want to honor Dylan and Mr. J for being, so Dylan was nominated for Trusted and Determined, and Mr. J for Very Spirited, and Mr. J is very spirited, always upbeat. And then lastly, we have the winter sports are upcoming with hockey. They are on Friday at 9 p.m. at the Ice Vault, and they're taking on Ramsey. To start us off.
A game to watch.
Oh yeah. And that's all for me.
Max, where do we drop off the coats?
During lunch on Fridays are the best. We all meet in the cardio room right near the phys ed office, and it started on Monday.
Thank you very much for your report.
Thank you very much.
Max, have a good weekend, and we'll see you on the 20th, or maybe you're
Oh,
Gabby.
I'm not there, but
We might see Gabby?
yes, you will.
Great.
Thank you very much. Happy holidays.
You too.
Take care, Max.
Any other committee reports? Oh, Mr. Nero.
Mr. Gallo also stole many of my talking points. It's okay.
We'll coordinate better next time.
I have a couple quick updates. From just community programs that are going on right now, we mentioned the holiday parade. It was rescheduled because, surprise, surprise, it rained last weekend. So it will be this Sunday at 4:30, fingers crossed. The only day it's looking like it's going to rain is Sunday. We're just not allowed to have nice things. Hopefully we can do that, parade at 4:30 and then accumulate with the tree lighting. Our town-wide Hanukkah celebration will be Monday, 12/11 at 6 p.m. It includes LED robots this year. I saw the flyer. I'm very excited. I don't necessarily celebrate Hanukkah, but I will be in attendance because who doesn't love LED robots? This weekend, the Rampo Mountain Tribe is holding a craft fair in their newly renovated Tribal Community Center on Stack Hill Road. It will be a really great opportunity to be able to go and support local tribal artisans that are based here in northern New Jersey. When we say like shop local and support local, this is as local as you can get if you're in the Mahwah community. So I really encourage everyone to stop by between 11 and 3 on Saturday. I think that this would be a great experience for everybody here. The Joyce Kilmer and Rampo Ridge Middle School Student Councils are running their coat drive in partnership with Jersey Cares from now until 12/20. Big boxes, at least at Joyce Kilmer, as you walk into the school, very easy to drop off. Same thing at Rampo Ridge. Again, a nice connecting program that we're doing here, connecting the student councils between Joyce Kilmer and Rampo Ridge. They really work together to do this program, so it's very exciting to see. We talked at the last meeting about CFA donations and blessing baskets. I just wanted to point out that this is the time of the year when the CFA needs the most donations. Now you're coming out of Thanksgiving, you're coming out of a very, very big week for them when they were, supporting the community. Now going into the rest of the winter holidays, going into the winter months, this is when the shelves need to be restocked the most. So I really encourage everybody to go out there. You never know the members of your community that you're helping and that you're reaching. So this is the perfect time to stop by either here in Mahwah or any of the other regional CFAs in our area. This is when they need it the most. That might be it for community. Mr. Beaker mentioned that our transportation survey is out. This is a year of work when Brett was running it, and a year of work for myself and the committee of data and research, and really where do we want to go with this. The survey was emailed out to everybody.
Bless you.
It truly takes less than 3 minutes to complete. It is very simple, it is very easy, it's just going to ask you a handful of questions. Are you eligible for busing, yes or no? Like what school are you in, how many students do you have in that school? If you say no, you're not eligible for busing, the survey ends there, so very easy. If it says yes, it brings you to the next one. Essentially, do you ride the bus? If you say yes, survey ends there. If you say no, it takes you to the next page, and we give you 5 or 6 options of why you're not on the bus. In the body of the email, we explain a little bit about why we're doing this survey. We've talked about it at several meetings now. When we're looking at a program that is 10% of our overall budget, and we're only at essentially 40% ridership, there's definitely a disconnect there. We talk a lot about being financially responsible here, making sure that we're using the money correctly and that we're also still giving a good customer service. So this survey is the first of probably 2. The results of this survey will dictate what the second survey will do or not do. But this is important for us because we can't fix what we don't know is broken, and we can't fix if we don't know the why. So we're very excited about this. On a personal level, from a data standpoint, you want to have at least 66% of your audience respond to the survey for it to be
Meaningful.
there was a word I was looking for, but it went out of my head. But you want to be able to say yes, this is the reason why. So you need to hit at least that 66%. As of today, we're I think just under 800 responses in 2 days, which is amazing. So thank you so much for everybody who logged in to do it so far. We are essentially halfway there. The survey will be open through January. There will be reminder emails that go out, probably to an annoying level. But we just want to make sure we're capturing the entire community. So please, please, please take the 3 minutes. It means so much to me and to the committee and all the people who have done amazing work to bring this to fruition. So we want to make sure that we're crossing the finish line with that. One more, last night was the last Access for All meeting of the year. I truly cannot say enough about Access for All and what they're doing for the Mahwah community and our surrounding communities. It was almost an emotional meeting as we reflected, or as they reflected on what they were able to do this year and what they want to do in the following years. If you follow on their Facebook page or follow along with what they're doing, the amount of events they were able to add this year is astounding. They did several events every month. When our community newsletter went out this month, you would have noticed that there's nothing listed for Access for All for events. I had to not submit their December events because they hit capacity so fast. It didn't make sense for me to put a event out there that you would not be able to RSVP for. So we obviously didn't put it out to the community because they were at capacity within 48 hours of opening the event. Some of what they talked about last night is the senior center is maybe not big enough for some of the more important events that they're trying to do. So now they're sourcing areas or, churches or VFWs or whatever it is in the area that maybe they can rent space from for their events so that they can open it up to more of the community. They're touching so many lives here in Mahwah and so many towns around us who don't have an Access for All program available to them come here to do that. Some of their biggest donations they received this year were not from families from Mahwah, families from southern Rockland County or areas in Bergen County where they don't have programs like this. So they will more than happy to drive to Mahwah with their families to give them, socialization and making friends and meeting peers, donating back to the program to make sure that we can continue to do these events. And it's really a pride point for the town. It changed me serving with them for the last year. I know that we will reorg in January. I've already made it very clear I would like to do it again next year. I think that it's so important. Making that connection also between them and the Mahwah schools has been something that's been really a pride point for us this year, and I want to continue to see that grow. So just if you don't know about them, please check out their Facebook page and look at what they're doing. Make donations if you can, because they really are banking on that. It's great. It's good stuff.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Linda?
Oh, yeah. Last night, Mike and I and John attended the second meeting of the school year of the Bergen County School Boards Association. The topic was branding and communication, and you did tonight exactly what they emphasized. How important it is to share with the community all the positive things that are happening in the schools. They talked about utilizing various social media platforms. The one thing Mike already mentioned that we wish they had, on the way home in the car, we talked, Mike and I and John said that they really didn't tell us how we could reach members of the community who don't have children in the schools. Because we always think that that's an area we should be targeting. The second meeting, not the second meeting, the third meeting will be held on Tuesday, February 5th. It will be a virtual meeting only. The topic will be education in New Jersey, and the topics will be discussed with the Assistant Commissioner of Education for New Jersey. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Anyone else? Chris?
I just had a quick question. So I was approached by some parents, and they're asking about the bathroom pass situation in the high school. And they said something about like having a time limit. I wasn't too privy on the information myself. I was just wondering is there any information on the high school bathroom pass or bathroom app? Or should I say directly to Mr. Pascal or, yeah.
Something as specific as that, the answer to the community would best be suited to go to the principal.
Yeah.
The principal and assistant principal are putting together things to create efficiencies, while still obviously allowing all the students to use the restrooms. So I don't want that to be a misunderstanding in the community. But Mr. Pascal can definitely provide anyone with all the information that they need. I don't want to misspeak now. He shared the information with us, but I don't want to misspeak at this time.
Okay.
I'll just briefly echo some of the things that Kyle said for the finance report. We had a very productive meeting with our outside auditor. She characterized our financial status as strong. I couldn't get superior. But the district has been very, very successful over the last number of years dealing with the headwinds of inflation, the pandemic, etc. We are starting to notice in some of the financial trends that those headwinds are becoming a little bit stronger, but we're always looking for tailwinds to help our financial situation improve. We were able to put away $1.2 million into our capital and maintenance reserve accounts as a result of unexpended funds from last year, so that was a good thing. We hope to do something similar again in fiscal year 24 that we're in. Heidi was very helpful also in sharing the experience of other districts with certain aspects of our cost structure that we're dealing with, and she basically said, you're in the same boat that everybody else is in. So I found that heartwarming for myself, or at least, that we know that we're not out alone on the gangplank. As Kyle mentioned, there will be some further clarification on some minor issues in the report, and at that point, we'll report again on the closeout, but all the financial aspects of the audit are closed. So we're in pretty good shape, and again, the financial condition of the district is strong. That's my report. Board member remarks, comments? Kristen?
I just want to remind everybody that, as promised, the results of the equity audit are on the website. I'd encourage everybody to go and read them and check them out, everybody out in the public. So just a reminder that they're there and ready for review.
Thank you. I'm going to echo Kyle again, because I just want to congratulate all the candidates who ran for Board of Ed. It's always great when a community has people who want to come out and do service for the community. So I congratulate all the candidates for spending the time and effort to put their name and time into public service. I want to congratulate and recognize the people who will be joining us. Ms. Janine Ting Jansen and Brett Complin is a returnee, and Rick De Silva was reelected. So we will welcome them at our reorg meeting on January 3rd. So again, congratulations to all those who participated. It's how our civic system should look like and work. As a candidate potentially for next year, I have to think about how that all works for me. But again, congratulations to all those who participated. So we're going to move to old business. Need a motion to open for old business. Linda and Chris.
Okay, this is a roll call for old business, minutes from prior meetings. Ms. Stavenero.
Yes?
Mr. Denise.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Dr. Park.
Abstain.
Ms. Saccone.
Yes.
And Mr. Gallo.
Yes. New business, 17A through M. Motion to entertain those. John Denise and Linda Zaccone. Any questions? Ready to go? Okay.
Ms. Stavenero.
Yes?
Mr. Denise.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Dr. Park.
Yes.
Ms. Saccone.
Yes.
And Mr. Gallo.
Yes, except on 17A, I will be abstaining on check number 113726.
Thank you.
Moving on to new business personnel, 18A to AA. Motion? Linda and Chris?
Okay, Ms. Stavenero.
Yes?
Mr. Denise.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Dr. Park.
Yes.
Ms. Saccone.
Yes.
And Mr. Gallo.
Yes, and again, I think we have some volunteers on the agenda. Thank you to our parent volunteers on AA. Yes. We're opening for our second public comment section. Public participation at board meetings is in accordance with bylaw 0167. At this time, members of the public may ask questions or make a comment on educational issues or school matters of community interest. As a matter of fairness, you are asked to limit your questions to no more than one and your remarks to no longer than 3 minutes. If you are here representing a group, please identify yourself, the group, and your position in the group. If you are here as an individual, please give us your name and address. I need a motion to open to the public. John Denise and Chris Hughes.
Good evening. John Feason, 20 Falcon Court, Mahwah, New Jersey. At the last meeting, the equity audit was introduced and distributed, and I was able to copy everything onto hard copy. And one of the very first things I did, whenever I look at something like this, is to see how much time was spent by the consulting firm to review the Mahwah School District. You know, time is very important. If someone spends some time on a subject, they should be very versed in all the components of that subject. So what I did is I looked at the data that was in the report, and being that this is a school board meeting, I have a little show and tell. And I would like to distribute that should be enough. And if anyone would like a copy. What I did here is simply take the information that was in the audit and lay out the amount of time that the 4-person team from US Consulting spent and when they spent it. And you can see that the team on Tuesday, January 17th, started at 11:45 at Joyce Kilmer and spent the next 3 hours and 15 minutes taking 11 classroom observations and speaking with 72 folks in focus group in a focus group environment. Now, at the bottom, there are 29 equity audit focus subpoints for every school. So in this 3.5 hours, they were very active because they were doing focus groups, talking to a lot of people, and then checking off the boxes for the 29 focus subpoints that are listed below in the 6 different major points. So I was curious, that was, to me, a short amount of time to do an awful lot of work with an awful lot of people. But the next day was a much more active day, starting at 7 a.m., 3 hours, 15 minutes at the high school, ending at 10:15, and then starting at 10:30 at Betsy Ross, ending at 1:15, and then running over to Lenape Meadows at 1:30 until 4 o'clock. And again, they had a lot of classroom observations and spoke to a lot of people. And then the next day, Thursday, Rampo Ridge from 8 to 11:40, and then George Washington. So my point is that there was an awful lot of activity, but when I look at the amount of time, as I indicated here, it's 0.3% of the school year, and that's not a very much amount of time to do all this. So my concern is that not enough time may have been devoted by the U.S. consulting company to really understand what goes on in the Mahwah School District. If you came to my house and spent 0.3% of the time trying to get a sense of John Feason and Pat Feason's environment, it's only 33 minutes out of a 168-hour week. So my question to you is, do you feel comfortable that they spent enough time to get a sense of what Mahwah is all about?
So, Mr. Feason, in addition to the classroom observations and the focus groups, a large part of their information gathering was related to surveys that were completed by students, parents, so there was a wealth of information that was developed.
Yeah, I've read all the comments.
That's very commendable.
Yes, I think I may be the only one in town to do that. I've read all the comments. one young man or woman wants to be Chef Boyardee, which I don't understand at all. And there were a lot of yeses about, I love my school, but there were an equal number of no's, I hate my school. So it's filled with some great information. As Mr. De Silva said last time, there's a lot in here, and there's a lot duplicated because the comments are here and then they're there. But I've not gone beyond just looking at the very top layer of what's going on. I
Right.
saw that in addition to the number of people on this page, that was 335, but actually 385 because there's another 50 persons who they interviewed, including 7 board members, but I think only 39 parents. And that to me is a very low number, 39 out of, I guess, about 1,800 families. So again, it kind of raises a concern that I would have about, did they really understand? Because most of this 500 pages is recommendations. So how can you make a recommendation unless you know your subject matter? So I'm just curious, if you feel comfortable, I'll feel a lot better. But just on the surface, I want to make sure that that audit is the very best it could be.
I'm not sure if I can answer the question that this was the most superlative audit ever conducted on the face of the earth. I can say from my perspective that the information that was gathered represented authentic Mahwah voices. I think one of the hallmarks of the report was that the data gather, everything that somebody said is in this report.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's not as though, you know, I said something and they go, oh, he didn't mean that. They collected everything. And I think that was part of the challenge of actually getting, taking the data and boiling it down to 60 pages, which is the meat and potatoes of the recommendations. And then I credit our administrative team to boiling that down to the district's synopsis. So we had all these voices, hundreds and hundreds of voices that I think are the authentic voice of Mahwah. I mean, I don't have any point of reference to say that it isn't, but the fact, and as you observed, there were respondents who said, hey, everything's going great for me, and there were some respondents who said, hey, things are a little bit more challenging to me. One of the voices that I heard in several places was related to the direction of my education. Where am I going to go in my life?
I'm lost.
I'm lost. And I think that, I would say, based on, you know, other young people that I know, that is a common theme among people in our generation of, you know, when you hear things like AI wiping out jobs and all the technological change that's occurring, you have to, I think it's a legitimate point of view that a student today would say, hey, I don't know what, you know, where I'm going to fit into this society as an adult. Part of, I think, our response in the district is, and Dennis has talked about this many times, is finding that why. Not only just for our educators, but also for our students. You know, why are we here? What are we doing? What's the purpose? And I think we had an inkling that that would have been a response from our community. So when you say, do we think that this represents the voice of Mahwah and the voice of our school community? I would say, I think, you know, I can't say definitively that 100% of the voice is there. I can say that I think the things that were said are said with authenticity. And to that extent, I would say that, yes, it does reflect our school community.
I think there's some clarification needs to be made first. I appreciate you putting this together, but I think something I want to clarify along the lines of these data points. This, what you have in front of you is specific to classroom observations, correct?
Right.
Okay. So yes, the classroom observations did take place. There were 73 classrooms that were observed, which in my opinion is a good sample size when you're starting to look at a district this size, 73. What I can tell you, which I am happy about, is that wasn't the singular data point that they were utilizing to make their assessment.
Well, they had a focus group. Yeah.
They had a number of other things. So let me just kind of share with you the different opportunities that they took to gather information, which when you're looking at an organization this size, you have to make sure that you're casting your net in a broad fashion. They had the town halls, they were very well attended. We had over 100 people at each of the town halls that they were able to share their perspective of the district. They also had the classroom observations. They had the focus groups. And within the focus groups, I think that's what you were referring to along the lines of speaking directly to 39 parents. Along the lines of the surveys, which were another data point, when they did share the surveys with the families, we had, we had 432 parents respond to the surveys. And then we also had all of our students respond to the surveys. They also did an internal audit of our policies, of our curriculum, of our overall practice. So I just wanted to provide you some clarification. When you're talking about an audit, you're absolutely right. If you look at this piece of paper, and if we just solely base the recommendations on just this time, it's completely inadequate. What I can tell you is, along the lines of the comprehensive nature of the data gathering, I am comfortable with it because of the multiple opportunities for people to share their perspective. Now, if they shared their perspective or not, that's a different story. What we tried to do to make sure that we were fully transparent with this is we sent out the surveys prior to allow the families to look at them. Then we also tried to provide reminders because we know people are busy. And then with the information that we gathered, well, they gathered, not me, they provided us a report. What we said at the last meeting, which I think is really worth sharing again, I didn't write that report, but what I can tell you is, looking at that report, and I think you put it perfectly, there are students who are doing really well, which I'm glad, and there are students who really need our help, which that's my job. What I want to do is make sure that we're putting together an educational experience for our students and our families that are attending to the needs of all. And I know you were here for the last presentation, last board meeting, and I am proud of the plan that we have in place for the short term, and we're going to continue to look at those long-term goals as well. And I think those short-term goals are, Mr. Gallo says this all the time, in the 6 years I've been working with him, is going from good to great. And I think we have a really, really good district, but there's opportunities to grow. And I think this experience, as lengthy as it was, has provided us with an opportunity to reflect on what we're doing from an outside eye and create opportunities for us to build a better school district.
My other question is, okay, this is distributed. What happens next and when?
Okay. So at the last meeting, at the very end of our presentation, because we knew that was going to be a question, because it's a great question. Everyone wants to know, all right, so you have this information, what are you doing now, right? And we posted this, and I'm not pushing you off, I just want to make sure that everyone knows where to go to find it. We posted our presentation on the website underneath where it says equity audit. And we talked about the very immediate plan of action, then we also talked about the long range plan of action. What's now is, which I'm happy to report, aligns to our district goals along the lines of continue to look at our communication, making sure that we're effective and we're able to get our information out to all of our stakeholders, whether it's our parents, whether it's our community members, whoever it may be. That's the first piece. We're staying committed to our NJTSS model. You've been at that, so we're focused on making sure we know the students we have in front of us, what they do well and what they don't do well, and what we have to do to make sure that we're continuing to move them forward. I'm saying it very briefly, but it's a lot more comprehensive than what I just said. We also talked about looking for opportunities to have some sort of roundtable with our community, or roundtables with our community, to have our community come in, sit with us. There could be two different ways for that to happen. We can either share information to make sure that everyone's aware of what's taking place, or create an open forum for discussion that people can share their experiences in Mahwah on an ongoing basis. They don't have to just come to the board meeting. We can do it at different times. Then also, we talked about our continued efforts that Dr. Fair has done a wonderful job with of our hiring practices and making sure that we're bringing in the best possible candidates for our students. That's the immediate. Long-term, there's another slide for that. I'm not going to go into details about that. But the immediate stuff, those are our immediate things that we're going to do with that.
Okay.
That will.
Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peterson. Thank you. Motion to close the public? Unless anybody else wants to come forward? Nope. Mr. Hughes, Ms. Cone. Let's see. Going to executive session. So we need a motion to go into executive session. We will be adjourning from executive session. There will be no board action at that executive session. Thank you everyone for coming out tonight. We welcome you to our next meeting at Lenape Meadows, December 20th. So we're gonna need a motion to go to executive session. Or do we do the motion? We need a vote?
I just need a motion. Motion in a second.
John and Linda.
Thank you.
It's Mrs. Gallo's birthday today, so wish her a
Happy
happy
birthday.
birthday.